Hi, my name is Cameron Medford and I work in TUL Services. We're going to start off with the mission. The mission of Goshen Health is to improve the health of our community by providing innovative, outstanding care and services through exceptional people doing exceptional work. We do that through our values of compassion, accountability, respect, and excellence in all that we do. 6S helps to promote uninterrupted flow. 6S is one of the key pieces of the foundation to the process improvement. Without 6S, it's hard to have success in process improvement. So what is 6S? 6S is a systematic way of creating a safe, clean, and orderly workplace and keeping it that way. 6S helps to organize your workplace to support flow. It will also make daily work life easier. There's a reason it's called 6S. It simply stands for a 6-step process that starts with S. Before you get started, you'll need to determine if the area that you will be working on is a shared area or if it's only your own. If it's just yours, you're ready to begin. If it's a shared area, you'll want to make sure that you include the other colleagues that use the area. You don't want other people to come into your area and make changes after you've made those changes. So make sure to take before pictures and establish a baseline on a scoring sheet that I'll show you. Also, you can create a spaghetti diagram. This will help you show the motion and can point out waste in the current system. So this is an example of the scoring sheet. So it just goes through the 6 S's. So there's sort, straighten, scrub, safety, standardize, and sustain. So you're going to go through and answer each question, yes or no, and then you'll add those up at the end and divide it by the 25, and that's where you'll get your percentage. You'll want to do that for your initials so you know where you've started, and then this can also be used for sustainment to make sure that you're keeping the items that you need. So the first S is sort. So this is when you're going to go through all of your items and make sure that you've gone through and made the items that you use on a normal basis and the items that you don't use. So you want to pick out the ones that you use and keep those. The items that you don't use very often, you can decide, is it something that I can get rid of? Do I need to donate it? Would somebody else in the hospital be able to use this? And for the items that you're not sure if somebody uses it or not, you'd put that in a red tag area. This is an example of the red tag form. There's actually 2 on the form. You're going to want to make sure that you put the area here that you're using, and then the issue or problem. So if it's a binder that you're not sure if anybody else uses, you're going to write that here. I'm not positive this binder has been used in the last 2 months. And then the action item, does it need to be thrown away if nobody uses it? Do we just need to organize it? Do we need to improve it? Maybe it's something we can have online now and we don't need to have a binder. Is it something that an issue needs to be resolved or other? So you're just going to identify what needs to happen with this item. You're going to want to make sure you date the item or the tag for the item. You want to put a category if you need to. Date of completion. So when is somebody going to come back and make sure that the item is not in the red tag area anymore? And then who tagged it? Who's responsible for it? And then if it needs to be reviewed. And then there's an area that you can write the action. So somebody used this twice a week. We're going to make sure that we don't throw this one away. Be ruthless when you're going through your items. Make sure that you've really thought about, when's the last time I used this item? Do I need it in my daily work, or is it something that I could put somewhere else? The next S is set for flow. So this is where you're going to go through those items that you have left, not the ones that you don't need anymore, and you're going to set for flow. So you want to think about what you use on a daily basis, and you're going to put those things together. So if you think about your laminator, you always have to have lamination paper. So you would want to make sure that your lamination paper is right next to your laminator. You also want to make sure that if it's items that you use often, that they're closest to you, and a U-shaped flow is ideal for flow. So you want to make sure that you can work from left to right, or if you're left-handed, you want to work from right to left, and make sure that it's set up that it works for you on a daily basis. The next S is scrub. So this is where it might feel a little bit like spring cleaning. You're going to break out that elbow grease and clean everything everywhere around your area. Make sure that you're moving items and scrubbing underneath, checking all those corners. You really want to make sure that it looks as new. The next S is safety. So you're going to make sure that you don't have cords that are laying across the floor that people walk through. You want to make sure that you aren't storing items 18 inches from the ceiling. You want to use the rule from your heart to your hips is where you want to keep most of your items that you use on a daily basis. You don't want to be bending or stooping often or reaching up above your head. You also want to make sure that you don't put really heavy items above your head. It's also important that if you have safety posters or anything that's in your area that you keep those there. Anything that's regulatory, you want to make sure that you follow those standards as well. So the next S is standardize. So you want to make sure that everything has a place. So you've gone through and you've chosen the items that you want to keep and you've set them for flow. Now you want to make sure that you can tell in 5 seconds or less that the items that you chose are where they need to be. So you can label things and mark out on a desk where they go, or maybe it's on the shelf that you need to make sure there's a label there. So when somebody uses it, they put it back where it belongs. You can do things like take a picture of the item and cut it out and put it on the area. It's an easy way to tell in 5 seconds or less if it's missing or not. And you also want to make sure that you label your items. So if you have a piece of equipment that belongs on 4 East, that it says 4 East and maybe the equipment closet, so that if somebody does borrow that, they know exactly where to bring it back. You can standardize with pictures. We also have a tape that you can use. The tape helps to mark out on the floor so that nothing else gets put in that area. And then the pictures are up on the wall to show you that this is what belongs in this taped area. Please make sure not to use duct tape. It is a safety hazard and can cause infection control issues. So if you need PVC tape, just contact TUL Services and we can get the website for you to order that. While you're standardizing, you can use standard work. This helps to identify who needs to be doing this, who needs to make sure that everything is in its place. Normally just a minute or two check every day to make sure that your items are back where they're supposed to be will help prevent this from being a spring cleaning and actually be success that can be standardized and sustained. Speaking of sustaining, that's the next S. So you're going to want to define the standards and you want to assign responsible people and audit regularly. So we do have the form that I talked about earlier that you can score yourself on. That's a great way to monthly, weekly, whatever is necessary to go through and score yourself. So you can see, oh, you know what, this week I'm not doing so great, but these are the things I need to work on. We also have some examples of charts that you can use. So you can, if it's a shared area, you can assign people to those areas and then have it in a public place where somebody can mark up the score that they've gotten, not for a punitive reason, but just so that you can keep yourself accountable and others. And we have some before and after examples. Like you can see here, the left example is very messy. There's things all over the shelf. And then on the right, everything is in its own place. It's all orderly. Really, this is to benefit you. It'll help in your work daily. Think about if you can go find something and you actually know where it is. It can help with patient safety. Maybe there's an emergency and we always keep the one thing in this spot. It'll be a lot easier to find it if you know where it is. It can also be used for, like if you think about the ED rooms, is each room set up the same so that you know you always go to the left cabinet to get the Band-Aids out, or whatever you need is in the same spot in every room. So you can use color coding. You can use it to mark from what the color of the cord is to where it needs to belong. You can use color coding for days of the week. Maybe you have certain binders that you use for certain things and you could color coordinate that way also. Another example that we have is for a blood draw. And they actually have it color coded for how many tubes need to be used and in the order that it needs to be in. And they have standard work that goes along with it. So you can easily tell how many need to be filled back up and what you do with that kit. This is an example of 6S. So as you can tell, all the items are labeled and in their own separate area. So we can easily tell where the items go. And then we also have a reorder system. So pull these tags off so we know when they're below their minimum to reorder. We also have the standard work posted on the door so we can tell easily the steps that we need to do to reorder. As you're going through the process, don't be surprised if you have some digs that come out of this. You might have some work that gets uncovered from going through the process and setting your items for flow. Just like if you did this at home and you're going through your kids' clothes, you might have to go shopping because you might have gotten rid of all the clothes that don't fit your child anymore. So just think about that when you're going through in your work, and there might be items that you need to have another dig on, and just make sure you do those separately from the 6S. Thank you so much for taking a couple minutes to watch this video on 6S. As you know, TUL Services is always available to help. You can call on extension 2497. Thank you.